Well, greetings, Series 7 test takers. This is the Series 7 guru coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. Before I honor this explication request, remember we will help you with any question you have from any vendor. This was a request. I've got a few here to do today. So this is first installment on getting those done. A little time for a little rant. You know, the Series 7 used to be 2 3-hour sessions, a total of 6 hours, 250 performance opportunities. In those days, there was an agreement between FINRA and the MSRB. There would be at least 55 questions on munis. When they redid the 7 in the form that you are now experiencing or encountering it, that agreement was no longer in place. So there's a lot of municipal minutia that used to be on the 7 that is no longer. And I call these questions like this one and a couple others here today, legacy muni questions. So for example, in my tips, tricks, and memory aids, people say, why don't you have pro golfers don't miss, or pretty girls date more, or pretty guys date more, whatever your sexual preference may be in terms of order priority of syndicates. I said, well, because they don't test that on that anymore. I mean, there used to be a lot of minutia that isn't there. You know, that again, that's why the channel is helpful. It's a bridge between these questions. I get it. By the way, no test prep vendor wants to take away questions. They don't want to say we have a smaller Q bag. Now, why don't you have any questions about the mill rate and calculating the property tax due based on the mill rate and the assessed valuation? Because it's not a big deal anymore. You know, so now I know after I've said this, I'm going to get 6 people tell me they took the test. Unless I've trained thousands of people to take the Series 7 pass. And now I bet, now I just said that, people are going to start calling me and saying, I got that pro golfers don't miss thing. Anyways, you need to stay on the broad avenues and highways of the information. Now, as that relates to munis, this used to be very testable. In a simpler format, it is. You know, there are questions where you get the yield and you have to figure out the price, or you get the price and you have to figure out the yield. That's called interpolation. Who cares? Not testable. This is an old version of an interpolation question. And what I mean by interpolation is you certainly should be able to look at this graph I've made here, this exhibit. I highly recommend you do this. I've turned this question into an exhibit, and I suggest you do the same. But anyways, you should be able to tell me that all these munis are trading at a premium based on that basis. Basis, the fancy word for yield to maturity is basis. So let's just put that in here. That's what that is. That's the fancy word for that. And so you still are tested on, you know, understanding the relationship of yield to price. Primarily bonds at discount, the yield to maturity would be higher, or if the yield to maturity is higher than nominal yield or coupon, discount. More importantly, premium. You know, if the bonds at a premium, yield to maturity is less than nominal yield, yield to call is the lowest yield, very testable. So that part of this is still testable with teeter-totter or seesaw. Not so much this. All right, so let's get this question done. This is the first installment. I've got about a few explication requests today. Hope to see you tonight on our Tuesday live stream. That's another place where you can bring questions for Brian and myself to look at. Anyways, this question reads, a 10-year municipal bond quoted on a 6% basis, 8% coupon is priced at 105. So as you can see, I've got that in my little exhibit I've made here. At 10 years, 7% municipal bond is quoted on a 6% basis. As you see, I have that here in my exhibit. What is the price of a 10-year bond with a 7.5% coupon at a 6% basis? So here in my exhibit, we can see that this should be in the middle here. How am I recognizing the middle? I'm representing the middle because 7.5% is halfway between 7 and 8%. So that's how I'm figuring that out. Now, you won't have to deal on Series 7 with what's called the median number. The median number is the middle, and the middle number is a sequence of numbers. If you're coming back for a Series 66, you will have to do with that. But basically, what they're asking us is, how can we interpolate that price? And so what we need to do is recognize that if this is halfway between that, let me get out my, right, if 7.5% is halfway between 7 and 8, then the price of that bond should be halfway between 101 and 104, right? So that's what the median is, the halfway point. And the halfway point, remember, I'm coming up with this halfway point because 7.5 is halfway between 7 and 8. So here, I say, well, by the way, I could have used process of elimination, by the way, that, they offer me some choices. One of the choices is choice A. Let me just put this here. And choice A says that number is 103. So if I punch 103 into there, by the way, I didn't have to do process elimination. Dean, yours truly would have been able to figure this out. That being said, though, you can always muddle around with the math and say, okay, is 103 the median number? And indeed it is. So, boom, that's our answer. So again, this is called interpolation. I don't think you're going to see interpolation questions of this complexity, right? I think you're just going to have to deal with it. So let me just reset here. Let's go back. Boom. So I'm going to make an exhibit. A 10-year, 8% municipal bond is quoted on a 6% basis. It's priced at 105. A 10-year, 7% municipal bond is quoted on a 6% basis and is quoted at 101. What is the price of a 10-year, 7.5% municipal bond quoted on a 6% basis? And as you can see here, what we're solving for is that price. So what we got to do is recognize that price is somewhere halfway between 7 and 8%. Now, I bet what the test taker is struggling with is probably trying to reverse engineer price based on the basis. The basis, that's the coupon. That's not the basis over there. The basis on all the bonds is 6. Anyways, I don't know if I should try and tell you how I think you could have messed it up. Anyways, we're being asked, what is that median number, right? If we recognize that 7.5 is halfway between 7 and 8, then we know that number is 101 to 105 is halfway between those two numbers, and halfway between those two numbers is 103. Now, as I said, I don't think you're going to have to do this complexity of interpolation. You used to have to do this on the old 7. Don't think you're going to have to do it on this 7. All right, well, remember, inch by inch, your Series 7's a cinch, yard by yard. Your Series 7 is hard, and we'll continue to get these explication requests done today. Hope to see you tonight for our weekly community live stream Q&A. Bye-bye.